Welcome to Ceasefire, where civics meets civility and engagement meets empowerment. Ceasefire is hosted by former Bernie ISD trustee and owner of the Bernie Bookshop, Dale Adams, and by former Bernie City Council member and local insurance agent, Ron Cisneros. Ready, aim, ceasefire.
Good morning. Welcome to Ceasefire. My name is Dale Adams.
And I'm Ron Cisneros.
And today we've got a guest coming back, the Honorable Kirsten Cahoon, our local district judge. Thank you, Kirsten, for coming and joining us. We're going to talk about a whole new set of duties that you've got coming up. But first, tell us what you do, just so we know. Rehash.
Well, I guess it's still morning, so good morning, Dale. Good morning, Ron. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Thank you for the invite, first and foremost, before we get started. So the question was, what do I do? Is that what my court does? All right, so we are the only court, and have been since 2017, in the great county of Kendall. Well, and when I say the only court, we do have 4 justices of the peace, and we have our municipal court out of the city of Bernie, and we have our commissioner's court. So when I talk about being the only court, I need to clarify that I, as the district court, I hear misdemeanors because we don't have a county court at law. I hear all of the misdemeanors that could have the potential of landing somebody in custody, which means Class B and Class A misdemeanors. Class C misdemeanors are fine-only offenses, and those are heard by the justice of the peace courts. So I don't hear those, although I do, in some extent, hear them to the effect that they get appealed. All of the appeals of traffic tickets and Class C misdemeanors come straight to the district court. And so I would hear everything from the appeal of a traffic ticket all the way to a felony murder case on a criminal side, and all points in between. Additionally, I hear all of the civil cases and all of the family cases, the divorce courts, and in the interest of children cases, so the suits against parent-child relationships and stuff like that.
Those are tough.
We have a court docket of about 2,000 just a little less, about 2,000 cases, which is about twice as much which a normal court would have as an active docket. Then I know what you guys are going to ask me, because you're going to ask about the 498th coming up in October. So we'll talk about that. But I get the pleasure, if it is a legal matter, it generally will come through the 451st. In addition, the district court also has some administrative responsibilities for the county, because the district court judges are state offices of emolument, meaning we're really a state officer and not a county official. We therefore oversee the auditor's office in the county. So the auditor is directly appointed by the district court and is overseen by the district court.
So you get to audit the county?
Yes, sir, because you would think about it, because the auditor has to be indifferent. And so because the district court is a state official, then it falls under the district court. We also appoint all of the members of the board for the KCAD and the real estate appraisal. So I appoint those board members. I just swore them in the other day. So we have a lot of different hats in the county. And also it makes sense that the adult probation is overseen by the district court. And additionally, I sit on the county juvenile board along with our county judge sits on that as well.
I'm going to go back to the KCAD for a second. I thought that at one time, and maybe I'm incorrect or I'm just remembering wrong, but I thought that like the city had an appointee and the county had an appointee. Is that not correct?
I think we're talking about 2 different people. I do the appraisal, the members that will go in and you look when you are talking about your property values, and you go in there and you contest the evaluation of that board.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Makes sense. But yes, you are right on that one.
So you mentioned the 498th that's coming up, I think
Yes.
next year, or is it this year?
This year, this
This year.
October, October
Wow.
1.
And you got the 451st.
Because why? It's first. So the 451st, you should be able to remember that.
Oh, okay. But how many district courts should I assume that there are 498 district courts now?
There's more now, but yes, I mean, they go by number. They're numbered
Okay. And so we've had, since yours, we've added 47 or more.
all over the state of Texas.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Wow.
A lot of growth going on.
Right. So, I mean, we're talking about lots in, down in Houston. They've added a lot, and San Antonio and all over the state. So obviously not just here.
Right. Wow. Okay. So I saw on Facebook, oh gosh, back in April, a post that you were appointed by Governor Abbott to a new position. And that's exciting.
That is exciting.
Except I don't know what it is.
I'm really excited.
So what is it?
It's a big deal. The state is cut up into 11 judicial regions.
Okay.
Our region, we're the Sixth Judicial Region, and it goes basically, we're the furthest east county, and if you picture the state of Texas, and the map goes all the way in a little strip to El Paso, west to El Paso.
Okay.
And all those little counties in between. Uvalde, Real, Valverde, and all the way down to Marfa and Fort Stockton, that area is all within the Sixth Judicial Region.
Uh-huh.
And so what a presiding judge, I was appointed to be the presiding judge of the Sixth Judicial Administrative Region. And it's just what it sounds like. It's an administrative position. So judges sometimes get sick or want to take vacation or need to go to a continuing judicial education, and they need a visiting judge. And so who do they call? They call the regional presiding judge, and they say, I need a visiting judge for this time because I'm going to be gone, or I'm sick. Or maybe in a case, a litigant has filed a motion to have that particular judge recused for some particular reason, and the judge doesn't agree with that recusal. And so there has to be a small hearing, and the administrative judge does that hearing and makes that decision. Lots of things that have come down from the legislature that the judges have to do. House Bill 2384, where now we have to keep up with the clearance rates and coming up pretty soon, the disposition timeline. And so the administrative judge makes sure that all of the judges in the region are complying with the clearance rate necessary. And if not, they go in and they help those judges get their clearance rate up and work through that court with them. Yeah. So basically, the way I like to think of it, Ron, is that the presiding judge assists all of the district judge and the county court at law judges in that region with doing their job.
And how many judges then are you helping or potentially helping?
Well, there's an excess of 30 district judges, if I can remember. I didn't count them before I came, but there's probably close to 50. There's, I think, more than 50 judges.
I mean, that's a reasonable explanation. I guess in my mind, I was hoping that it was something like these judges had to pay tribute to you or something. You're going to amass great wealth, but...
No, it's still a government position. So no, and the helping is something that I have found, and the numbers is something in doing this that I have found that I enjoy a lot about getting our courts kind of running efficiently. And the numbers that we have in our court we've worked very hard with the clerk's office to get it basically down to the nuts and bolts. They are all active cases. We worked really hard to separate the wheat from the chaff, right?
Right.
So we worked very hard at getting down to just the active cases. And so I kind of picture being able to help a big portion of the state in working through that and taking what I've learned and helping our region become a very successful and efficient region. It's a 4-year appointment. I do plan to continue to be the 451st judge. I will be an active judge, being a presiding judge. So I intend to run for a 3rd term. And so I'm hopeful to continue to do both.
That's great.
One question about the presiding judgeship. Since these are elected judges, are you providing any oversight or authority over them? Because generally that doesn't exist with an elected position.
I wouldn't
just sort
call
of a
it
coordinator.
I wouldn't call it an oversight and authority in the way that you're thinking of oversight and authority.
Okay.
We make sure that the rules promulgated by the Supreme Court, which are under the legislative that come down and tell us we need to do this, they make sure that they know those rules and that they're following the rules, and we assist.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break. This is Ceasefire with Dale and Ron with Judge Kirsten Cahoon, and we'll be back in a moment. Bernie has its own bookshop. In fact, it's called the Bernie Bookshop. Hi, I'm Dale Adams, inviting you to get lost. Get lost in a good book in our relaxed and casual atmosphere. We have a wide and eclectic selection in the Bernie Bookshop. We pride ourselves on finding what you are looking for. We do author meet and greets, host writing workshops, and can connect you with a good book club. And your young ones will absolutely love our kids section at the Bernie Bookshop. And while we want you to get lost, we're easy to find, as we're in the heart of Bernie at the back of the Richter Tavern building. We are the Bernie Bookshop. Welcome back to Ceasefire with Dale and Ron. We've got Judge Kirsten Cahoon, and we're talking about her new role as the regional judge for which region is it? Sixth.
Yes.
Congratulations.
The presiding judge of the Sixth Administrative Judicial Region. It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
There's 11 regions, like I said, in the entire state.
Yeah.
So there's 11 presiding judges.
Are they all as big as the one you're getting?
Well, no, some are actually very small landmass wise,
right,
because it's Houston.
Oh,
so,
right.
Well, Houston has some counties surrounding Houston, but the regional presiding judge for that region also has like Galveston. Okay. But there's a lot more people and judges in that. So there's more judges in that than in my region.
Okay.
Or Dallas, that region is smaller in a land mass.
Yeah.
I thinking on it right now, that the Sixth Administrative Region is probably the biggest land mass.
I bet it is.
It's a little greater than 54,000 square miles of land mass. I did the math.
So you're going to be doing a lot of driving.
Well, most of it you would think, Dale, and I do intend to maybe try once a year to get to the counties, but it's mostly a Zoom role. It's mostly just administrative, accessible by phone, accessible for the assistants by Zoom. But I do think that there's something really good about meeting everybody on an annual basis just to learn. I take constructive criticism well. If there's something we could do that would help you more and that's better. And you really aren't going to get that by Zoom or by a phone call or by email. You really, I think, get that best by sitting across a table, sharing a cup of coffee, grabbing lunch or breakfast, and learning, okay, how can I make your job easier? What can I do from my position as the presiding judge to help you be better? And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Judge, I have an operational question for you about that. When you do get that call from another judge, say in Marfa, and they tell you, death in the family, I got to check out for a couple of weeks. How do you find that replacement for them? Is there a bullpen of judges sitting around? Or are you grabbing somebody from one district and moving them over there temporarily? How does that work?
There's a bullpen. To use your analogy, we have retired judges.
Okay.
Judges who are no longer active judges, but they still want to serve in that capacity. We call them visiting judges. And I use them a lot. I use a lot of visiting judges when I've got to go out of town and my court still runs. Or sometimes I might use a visiting judge and do 2 trials at one time. I might have a visiting judge come and do one of my misdemeanor trials while I do a family law or civil trial. And so that's to help maintain and clear the docket. And sometimes when I'm out, like I had to go to Austin the other day and I had a full docket, and I called Judge Harrell and we got him to come in and be a visiting judge. So we keep a list of all of the retired judges who are willing and have taken the oath to continue to be a visiting judge, and they'll come out and they'll sit for that.
And they're compensated, I imagine, for doing that. And would it be difficult to find a judge to replace temporarily a judge in a far out west Texas county?
It does get a little more difficult with the bigger, way far out jurisdictions, but I know that Judge Abels is our presiding judge, and he has been our current, and he still is, because I have not yet been confirmed by the Senate. I'm waiting for Senate confirmation as of the date of our recording. Hopefully it will happen by the date of the airing. But, and he has done this job for 30 years. So he was a retired judge, and then he stopped being active, but continued to do that role and maintains a big roster of judges to pull from. So I will be able to stand on his coattails, so to speak, and taking those in and just making sure that our judges are still willing and able to get there.
Another operational question, and this one goes to when we get that 498th court, and we're going to have your court alongside of it. So in territory, are they covering the same area? And then are you going to have a division where one handles one type of case and another handles the other type, or is it just...
Under the government code? So to answer your question, yes, our enacting legislation is the exact same. So the new court has the exact same jurisdiction that I have. So we would work in tandem and alongside one another, whoever he or she may be. That's chosen by the governor, and then that person is going to have to turn around and run. They'll be chosen by the governor, and then they'll have to file and run on the same cycle that I have to run on, filing in November of this year. So that person, what we did under the government code, there is a provision that allows a local administrative judge, which I am because I'm the only judge, makes me the administrative judge for Kendall County. And so I was able to put together a board who would then assist the court with dividing the workload, dividing up the caseload that would be most effective for the two courts. So back last summer, we put together a board for that purpose. And on that board was myself and Judge Abels, our presiding judge. I also had Judge Delarchek because he does have the uncontested probate matters, and he's the county judge. And I put the two district clerks on the board because they all had a piece to say in that and how we were going to split that docket.
Right.
We took information from the Office of Court Administration, and we met about 6 times. Over those meetings, we drafted the local rules to divide the two courts. The way we divided the two courts was that one court was going to keep the felonies, and one court was going to keep the misdemeanor and the juvenile cases. And then we were pretty much going to split 50-50, the civil and the family cases, having the even numbered cases will go to the 451st, and the odd number cases would go to the 498th. Now, how does that look in action? So when that person comes on board, right now we have it, the 451st gets the felonies, and the 498th is going to take the misdemeanor and the juvenile docket. But I will work with whoever that judge is, and we'll figure out, well, do they want to have, let's say they wanted to have the felonies at some point. We can split that. Once we split the docket up, we can easily change it in OCA to move it to some other way if we want to agree to that. And then we made certain meetings in this local breakdown, meetings of the two judges to come to an agreement on what we think is the most efficient way to run the two district courts.
Okay.
At this point, because we don't have a county court at law, which would normally hear misdemeanors, it's very challenging. The biggest challenge that I face on the bench is how to handle the misdemeanor and the felony docket. I can't have just a 2-week criminal jury trial because felonies always take precedence over misdemeanors. And so I have to have 2 separate weeks, a separate misdemeanor trial week and a separate felony trial week. Or I would never try a misdemeanor because the felonies would always be tried first.
Oh, right.
And so to have them all on one makes it a bit challenging. And our indigent defense having 2 different courts handling in Kendall County the same felonies and the same misdemeanors will be challenging with the dates of docket days and making sure that we have enough lawyers there. Right. So as it stands, it looked to be the best to cut them up that way.
Right.
Okay.
The argument against was that you're looking at making one court like a county court at law instead of like a district court. But I don't believe that, because there's still a district court and we can get together and make a change. As soon as we get in there, and we might find that something is more effective, but we haven't ever done it.
Right.
We've never had
Right.
2 district courts.
Right.
But I don't know of any other county that would have 2 district courts that just serve that county, not a multi-county district court, but 2 district courts just serving that county, yet no county court at law. I think we are the only county in the great state of Texas that has that set up.
There was talk earlier, a couple of years ago, I guess, about a county court at law. Is that still in the works, or is this going to push that off for a while?
That legislation that had gone through has been pulled in lieu of the district court. There was a request to extend the time of where that would come in and was sent up to the last legislative session to a 2029 county court at law. And our representative noticed our caseload, and we were in need of another court because of the case docket size. And they came up with having another district court, which is beneficial for the citizens of Kendall County, in that it doesn't have the county court, which is mostly paid for by as a county employee as opposed to a state employee. This is really in the weeds.
Yeah.
But that is how we didn't have the county court at law. Will we not ever have a county court at law? I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
But it's not going to be any time in the real near future.
Judge, one quick question that I'm aware of. There's only one courtroom at the, there are 2. Where's the second one?
It's right next door. It's a smaller courtroom.
Okay.
It's a county court at law cases. Misdemeanor cases are 6-person juries.
Okay.
And while felony cases, district court cases are 12-person juries. And so it's sort of a smaller courtroom, made more for that county court size, but you can still make it work.
Well, I'm such a good citizen. I don't know where these courtrooms are.
Yeah.
But we
I
do.
hope I never do.
But we do have. Well, you've been wanting jury duty, and jury duty
that's
will
different.
get you in there, but you'll be in there.
Yeah.
I do see better utilization of all of our jurors when they get called, because what I would like to see happen, of course, determining on the agreement of the 498th district judge, but being able to run 2 trials at one time so that we utilize all of the one pool, 2 trials.
Yeah.
And I think we can do it. But it'll be a lot of working together and learning what fits, what's right.
Yeah.
And the good thing is it's flexible, and it might take about a year for us to get into a groove, but I think we will.
I think you will too. Well, thank you for visiting with us again and explaining all of that.
Thank you for having me.
It's big changes coming up. A lot of people may not see it, but it's important for people to know about it. Right now, I'm going to jump in and plug a book, naturally. And this is a little bit ways back. It's 2 Treatises of Government by John Locke. And if you haven't heard of it, it's probably because it came out in 1680 or 1690. And this is one of those foundational books that sort of informed our forefathers on what the role of government is and the evils of having monarchies and all that kind of stuff. And we've got it in the Bernie Bookshop. It's a dry read, but it's good if you want to really get to understand some of the foundational aspects of our country. So thank you, Kirsten, Judge Cahoon, for coming down and joining with us.
That's 3 days in jail for that.
Yeah, I know. I'll see one of those courtrooms pretty soon.
That's right. There's and I don't have it on me, gentlemen, and I was trying to look it up really quick, but I'll go off the cuff. But John Adams wrote that a representative government and a trial by jury are the heart and lungs of liberty. And they are. Yeah. And so I'm excited. I'll go over there and I'm going to go get that, because that sounds, I love that. Maybe I can find another quote. Oh,
it's all yours.
It's all me.
Am I allowed to do that?
I don't know.
Is that a political gift?
I don't know.
No, she's not running for anything right now. And I'm not before the court for anything.
Technically, I just told you I was running for re-election, so there we are.
That's off in the future.
All right.
Someday Ron will run for something too. You can push him.
Thank
Okay.
you, Bill.
Well, thank you for coming down, and thank you for listening to our listeners. And if you missed any of it, you can go to BernieRadio.com and listen to our podcast, any of our shows, and we'll see you next week.